Hey, what's up, everyone? I thought I'd kind of do this again. A bit of a retake, if you will, on something I talked about. Recently, when I got back over a week ago, actually a week ago yesterday, it's Frank here on YouTube, Frank Hill, sent me some birthday gifts, which I was very appreciative of. In fact, I did a package opening that you can see here on this channel. And he sent me the first 2 volumes of Goof Troop, which you can only get as Disney Movie Club exclusives, unless, of course, you're a company or a partner with Amazon and you use the Amazon Prime account. Then you can buy them at the regular price on Disney Movie Club and then sell them for 2 times more, double that, or double basically what you paid. But, the reason I bring this up is, I did an audio version of the cartoon flashback for the show, and I always thought it was a very good show. I mean, it's funny. It's got good storytelling when it comes to certain episodes. It's just overall a very good show. So it doesn't surprise me, it doesn't really surprise me that, it really doesn't surprise me that in 1995 a Goofy movie came out, which is ironically really just Goof Troop the movie. But they called it a Goofy movie, and I'll get into that in a moment. And it really doesn't surprise me that afterwards you had the Goof Troop continuity, the mythos, if you will, the continuity, kind of rebooted, or not rebooted, but kind of retconned softly into the Disney classic continuity. In other words, starting with Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, you kind of got the idea that Goof Troop was now part of the classic Disney continuity, because it followed the same patterns. Yeah, it had a younger Max, which you pretty much would say, well, how did Max live in Spoonerville with his dad next to Pete and his family? It doesn't make sense. But again, and I'm sorry if there was any noise there. But again, like I said, Goof Troop basically had a huge legacy and an impact on the Disney continuity. And like I said, Once Upon a Christmas proved that. Of course, you had the sequel, an extremely goofy movie, which really cemented the Goof Troop legacy in Disney lore. After that, you had, how do I put, hold on for a sec. Like I said, right after an extremely goofy movie, you had it connected to, you definitely had it become part of, like I said, Disney lore. For example, you had, Max be part of House of Mouse. You had, the college-bound Max, like I said, part of House of Mouse, part of Twice Upon a Christmas, things like that. So, and you had them part of various episodes. And these episodes at times would remind you a lot of Goof Troop. Even though they had Goofy back in his classic style with the hat and everything, it still kind of was very reminiscing of Goof Troop. Some of these episodes, like Max's embarrassing date, Max's new car, and the list goes on. Max when he was being a waiter. The list just goes on and on and on. And it was great. It was great to see that. So the question that always bugged me for years, and I'm sure it bugged anybody else that was a fan of the show as well as a fan of the movie, is why didn't they continue the show after the movie? Why didn't they add new episodes that took place in the same continuity as, in the same continuity as the show? Why didn't they, as the movie and the show, why didn't they do that? I mean, they did it with DuckTales. The movie DuckTales, after DuckTales the movie, they did it with them. And I'm pretty sure they did the same with Doug after Doug's first movie. You know, they did the same, I'm pretty sure, with Recess and Teacher's Pet. You know, the list could go on. But yet they didn't do it with Goofy, with Goof Troop and Goofy Movie. And I've always wondered why they didn't do that. And then I've always wondered that. So why didn't they do it? And then as I thought about it, and, we read more about why it wasn't really acknowledged as a Goof Troop movie, it kind of makes sense, but in a sense it doesn't. And I'll get into that in a second. Hold on for a minute. Like I said, it's kind of surprising that they didn't go in that direction by having episodes take place afterwards. It really surprised me. But then again, it shouldn't. But then again, when one thinks about it, it kind of makes sense and it kind of doesn't. I mean, I know it makes sense because from what I've read online, the reason they didn't acknowledge it as the Goof Troop movie or as a Goof Troop movie, the reason they didn't acknowledge it as such was because of the fact that DuckTales the movie bombed. Sure, DuckTales the movie was a hit in other parts of the world, but in the U.S. it bombed. And it was a critical disaster. And one can only think that maybe that's why they didn't do. Maybe one has to look at, perhaps that being the reason why they didn't do Goof Troop or anything. As the Goofy Movie, I should say. One has to think that's why they didn't do Goofy Movie as Goof Troop the movie or as the Goof Troop movie. Because pretty much Disney was probably afraid that history was going to repeat itself. And I don't really blame them for that, but again, it just doesn't make really doesn't make any sense. I mean, think of it this way. Why would you not acknowledge that it's part of the Goof Troop continuity? Why would you not follow it up with maybe episodes from Goof Troop based around, the continuity that you had created in the movie? Why didn't you do that? And one would say, well, it's because maybe they didn't want to make the same mistake. They don't want to take a chance of the movie bombing or whatever. No. Here's what I don't get. Like I said, here's what I don't get. You see, hold on for a sec. Sorry about that, I was climbing. But like I said, here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. I mean, one, in a sense, I can understand why they didn't call it a Goof Troop movie, or why they, in a sense, didn't really acknowledge it was part of Goof Troop. And maybe why they didn't do follow-up episodes on Goof Troop or anything like that, saying all new I just don't get that. I mean, I can understand perhaps they didn't want to chance the fact that critics would be like, well, wait a minute, that Goofy movie we saw in theaters and we thought was good was actually the Goof Troop movie? And now you're acknowledging it? I mean, honestly, is it so hard to just come out and maybe make a deal with ABC in 95 or syndication with Disney Afternoon in 95 and say, hey, all new episodes of Goof Troop taking place, all new episodes of Goof Troop based off a Goofy movie? Is it that hard to do? Really? I mean, honestly, is it that hard to do? No, it's not. Not to me. Not to me, it's not that hard. I mean, you could have made that promotion, but they didn't. And what doesn't make sense to me is you don't want to acknowledge Goofy Movie and Goof Troop in the same sentence, yet your Disney Adventures magazine does. I mean, if you go online, Google right now, if you go to Google right now, and you go online and you type in Roxanne, you type in Goof Troop, you type in comics, or you type in, Goof Troop comics, Roxanne, you put Roxanne's name in there, and those will pop up. There are several Goof Troop comics with Roxanne in it. And they're not called Goofy Movie comics. No, they're called Goof Troop. Why? Because those at Disney that did the Disney Adventures comic acknowledge the fact that Goofy Movie was in fact the Goof Troop movie. Even if Disney, in a sense, doesn't want to. I mean, Nostalgia Critic even acknowledged it. He said it in his Disney Simba as a bonus review. He said, hey, when he was talking about how good the animation was and stuff, and he says, he basically says, and he basically says, hey, they're doing Goof Troop the movie. Basically he's saying, would you expect this kind of animation and openings from Goof Troop? No. But yet here it was. So to me, it just doesn't make sense. And said they wouldn't do follow-up Goof Troop episodes, Goof Troop follow-up episodes based around Goofy Movie. And they do, but yet they do it. Yet they do it. And I'm under a gazebo here. Yet they do it for DuckTales. They probably did it for Doug. They probably did it for Reese's. And they probably did it for Teacher's Pet. But yet they don't do it for Goofy Movie? Movie with Goof Troop? All because why? Because of that little critical scare in 1990? Big deal. That was 5 years before. They could have gotten over it. I mean, honestly, when Goofy Movie came out and we saw the previews, we saw what it was. Pretty much we all knew it was Goof Troop. We all pretty much were excited to say, hey, they're doing the Goof Troop movie, but yet they're calling it Goofy Movie. I don't know why, but we knew it was Goof Troop. Heck, when I had a typewriter in Kansas, I took one of those front end strips, one of those small front end strips you would put on the front of a VHS tape when you would record something and you'd want to write down what you recorded. I typed up Goof Troop the movie and placed it on the front of the Goof Troop video. Not the Goof Troop, but I typed up Goof Troop the movie, and I placed it right on the front of the cassette tape of the Goofy Movie VHS tape. And I said, because even though right in the front when you're looking at it and you open it up and you're holding the cassette in your hand and it says a Goofy Movie, on the side when you're getting ready to pop it in and there's nothing but a blank space there except for the little white numbers and stuff, I typed up Goof Troop the movie on one of those VHS slips or stickers and pasted it on the side because that's what it was. Goofy Movie to me is Goof Troop the movie. Like I said, Doug Walker acknowledged it and everybody else acknowledges it. So to me, it just doesn't make sense why they didn't do follow-up episodes for Goof Troop based around Goofy Movie. I mean, you have fans basically writing fan fiction stories, doing comics, where you have the Goof Troop characters interacting with the Goofy Movie characters. I mean, you even have someone that did a picture on DeviantArt that says a Goofy Troop. So I just don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's kind of like it does make sense because maybe they didn't want to go in that same category. In a sense, it doesn't. But on the other hand, not category, but they didn't want to take a chance that the movie might fail, just like DuckTales the movie did. But on the other hand, it doesn't make sense. So, let me know what you guys think, though. Do you think they should have made some follow-up episodes with Goof Troop based on Goofy Movie? Or do you think they made the right choice and not to? Let me know what you think. Because I just find it kind of unsensible that they do it for the Disney Adventure comics, but they don't do it for the Goof Troop show itself. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll talk to you later.